It can be any place. It could be Chicago. He could drive to Singapore. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, any place you go, it's still the same point of fact that you can go anywhere, but your mindset is what creates that reality for when you get there. Welcome to another installment of Be Insanely Great. Today we're checking out another video and song I'm told that I probably have heard in passing, but I'm not familiar at the moment with the artist or the song, much less the lyrics. So today, checking out Sufjan Stevens' Chicago. We're going to go through, we're going to see if there's any elements of this that are potentially applicable to your own mindset and awareness and consciousness, utilizing the definition of consciousness as your individualized energy, powering your present awareness of your accepted truths. And with that perspective, is that something that we can extract some value of from this song? And first of all, we focus on the feeling of the song. We focus on the energy of the song. We focus on the energy, the expression of the artist, and then trying to understand what that means if we were to take that as something that was conveyed to our society from a universal consciousness as what's constructed within the elements of mechanics of quantum physics, and allowing that to be something that we interpret to be applicable in our own life. So here we go. Chicago by Sufjan Stevens.
All things go, drove to Chicago. All things know, we sold our clothes to the state. I don't mind, I made a lot of mistakes in my mind.
Made a lot of mistakes in my mind. I think we all can admit we make a lot of mistakes if we're willing to and have the courage to admit that. And allowing our mind potentially to be something that drives our own consciousness and usually where it's using us more than we're using it. Selling clothes. And first of all, like the beat of the song and the feeling of the song is such a beautifully upbeat kind of, I want to say jingle because it has such a happiness to it. You know, and contradicting Illinois, I mean, it doesn't sound like noise to me. It's like a boisterous thing that doesn't have any harmony to it. And this feels like a very beautiful harmony for a purpose of reinstilling an element of love and peacefulness, but at the same time, joy and selling all my things, selling all my clothes to the state. You know, how often do we realize that so many things that we put so much value and emphasis on and did potentially in moments give us joy over time lose their luster? And, you know, whether we're selling them to the state or whatever, the state controls us when we allow it to control us. And the physical things, whether they be clothes or whatever physical things, control us when we allow them to control us. Right. And so if you can find love and you can find that feeling and realize that that's something that can be eternal if you allow it to be, and if it's not put in an external thing, but is given to an external thing, and it's put here and put in our heart and put from the core of who we are and the power that beats our heart, the power that gives us our conscious awareness and allows us to realize we're here and allows us to move our fingers and do all this stuff and without us doing anything. What? How is that? How can you not love and appreciate that? And then giving love to something instead of having it be attached to something, to where when that thing goes away, our happiness goes away. That's something that we do so often and so frequently and only realize it potentially never, depending on your perspective.
You
Man, like the way he writes this is so unique. It's telling the story of a journey. It feels like a journey. The song feels like a journey, and the words and their unique kind of framing and expression is very transcendental, but also very simple in trying to convey an element of, it's very close to what we just said is things, but then where you give your energy, that's where you put your attention, that's where your energy goes, right? And so when you give your energy to things, okay. When you give your energy to growing something, okay. When you give your energy to going places, okay, you go, right? But coming to the understanding that that's something that you create, and that's something that is powered by your mindset. It is something that you have to find and you have to experience in order for you to realize the true value in. And a lot of times people, and first to admit, I used to do this, like everything happens to us. No, change that to everything happens for us. Everything comes into our experience for a purpose and for a reason. And the sooner we can realize, and the sooner you can realize that every experience happens for you, to say, oh, all right, what's going on here? What do I need to learn by this illusion that is light and information that I need to learn as an individual and as a being of energy, to then realize and bring into my awareness what it is that I want and understand what it is that I don't want, so I can grow from that, I can learn from that, and I can expand, not just grow, but expand my consciousness beyond that, and allow me to continue to expand. And allow that to be something that defines you in every present moment, and you understanding that that defines you in every present moment. I mean, and sometimes we can go anywhere. We can go on a trip. We can go any place. And the reality is our mindset goes with us. So if we think we're escaping something, we think we're going someplace, like our mindset creates our circumstance and our awareness creates that circumstance wherever we go. We bring the energy. You bring the energy. So whatever energy you bring to that circumstance and that situation, that defines everybody else around you and how they feel. And that defines exactly what you're going to get out of it. Because what you give it, you get it.
All things go. I drove to New York in a van with my friend. We slept in parking lots. I don't mind. I was in love with the place. In my mind, I made a lot of mistakes. In my mind.
What we just talked about, going different places, whatever your mindset is, when you go to those places, that's what it is. If we think you're going to change your whole circumstance by just going to a different place and you keep the same mindset, no, that ain't going to work. Fast forward. That's not going to work. The mindset and your awareness is all that defines everything that is in the present moment. The sooner you can understand that, the sooner your entire world changes into something that's magical and miraculous instead of something that's depressing and anxious. And, he's like, I drove with my friend, I slept in a van. I didn't care. Well, what a mindset to have for sleeping in a van, not letting it bother you. Made mistakes in my mind. Is it that those mistakes were those things that he didn't want to think or didn't, he allowed to consume those moments, but the mistakes was the simple allowing of it to be something that controlled him and his awareness instead of him controlling it. Think about that. You
came to take us. All things go to recreate us. All things go. We had our mindset. All things know. You had to find it. All things go. If I was crying in the van with my friend, it was for freedom from myself and from the land. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes.
What a beautiful journey the melodies and the harmonies of the song bring you on. I think it's hilarious that he says he drove to New York and the name of the song is Chicago, but that's a separate thing because, separate and not, because the reality, it can be any place. It could be Chicago. He could drive to Singapore. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, any place you go, it's still the same point of fact that you can go anywhere, but your mindset is what creates that reality for when you get there. And if I was crying from myself, freedom, trying to gain freedom is a definition of everything we've talked about, and realizing that you have the power in this present moment to choose your own conscious awareness. You choose your energy. That's freedom. Realizing and understanding and believing and living that is freedom. And so when you realize that that's something that you can do, and sometimes, yes, because you've made mistakes, we have to cry. We have to express what's inside. Anything that's burdened within, all of the emotions are stored in the body. So we have to express that in order to free ourselves. And so sometimes that's crying. Sometimes that's talking to the people that we had emotional elements and responses with that became a burden that we shouldered, right? That we have to express, and we're not going to be free from them until we express them, right? Until we express them. And so whether, again, if that's something that, if you're giving your clothes away and you need to overcome that and not let that be something you're attached to, that you want to cry over, great. Or the land, wherever you are, cry over, that you're not there anymore. Okay. But that's because in the moments that you gave your happiness to a physical thing, you gave your happiness to something that was outside of your own self, your own being. And that is when that's taken away, that automatically instills a sadness, because it's something that's taken away. But if we realize love is the core of our being, and love is something that's universal, and love is something that's we always have and we can always go back to, and that's the energy that powers our life. How magical of a freeing feeling that could be for you. How magical of a freeing feeling that could be for you. And with the element of freedom and the forgiveness that it is. And forgiveness is almost, when you can forgive yourself, you're essentially allowing yourself to remove all limitations of any experience or any emotional circumstance, have a tethered, tight hold upon you. And when you can forgive yourself, you're releasing that limitation. You're releasing that tether, and you're allowing yourself to be free. And so when you can express that forgiveness, whether it be in crying or whatever it is, express that forgiveness and acknowledge and accept that as truth for your own self, you're freeing yourself from those limitations and allowing that to be something that you can now express as freedom instead of a limitation that's tying you down and holding you into a place in which you don't want to be.
You came to take us. All things go to recreate us. All things grow. We had our mindset. All things know. You had to find it. All things grow. You came to take us. All things go to recreate us. All things grow. We had our mindset. All things know. You had
What a beautiful melody and a beautiful harmony and a beautiful song. And the chorus, if we are using this experience to interpret the lyrics and the feeling of the song as our own energy, speaking to our own conscious awareness, looking at the chorus saying, you came to take us. So you, the energy here, take us, take our mindset to a specific experience to recreate us where all things grow, and then we, so you versus we meaning our own conscious awareness, had a mindset. So we created that element as to what we accepted as our truth. And then the inner thing saying, you had to find it. You had to find it, right? All things go, and all things know. All things know is to me inferring to the element, and going back to the mechanics of quantum physics and universal intelligence, that it's almost like a divine matrix, and everything that exists that we see has its own level of built-in intelligence, and all things know, and they're creating your awareness, and you're creating what you see in the appearance of your physical sight based upon your accepted truths of your mindset. That's what it feels like, and that's what it seems like through the perspective of a universal consciousness, and through the perspective of a lens that helps us apply the learnings and the lessons in this song and this expression of art and expression of inner feeling. That's what this is. That's what every music and everything that we really put intention and love into is an expression of our inner feeling. And if this expression of inner feeling from Sufjan Stevens is not only for his own experience, but for everybody that listens and engages and feels the feeling of the song, what an incredible message. What an incredible opportunity to claim the present moment and do something to understand that you have the power to control that. Yes, it might not seem that way if you try it for a few minutes or a few hours or a few days or a few weeks, but you know what? Over time, it'll little by little, moment by moment, it'll get easier and easier and easier. Yes, that's possible. If that's what you accept, that's what will happen. Your consciousness is your individualized energy powering your present awareness of your accepted truths. If you can understand that, look and feel the feeling of the song and what Sufjan Stevens said here. How amazing. How amazing. Thank you, Sufjan Stevens. Thank you. Be insanely great. Tell us what you think in the comments. Let us know a song or something you want us to check out and react to. Check it out, engage, feel the feeling. Be insanely great in your own way. Have an amazing day.